8.4, day 2. We'll start with a little bit of a review of multiplying special cases. So I want you to put me on pause and multiply out the 2 on this page. All right, you should have ended up with your first value or number squared. Then multiply those 2 together and double it. That gives you 6x. 3x plus 3x is 6x. And then square your last term, which is 9. That's the pattern you get. You can just FOIL it or use the box method, whichever you're used to. But again, here's the pattern. I square this number. That gives me my x squared. I multiply those 2 together, which would give me negative 3x, and then double it, which gives me my negative 6x. And then I square this last number. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. And again, just continue to use the box method or foiling if you don't notice that pattern. If you don't want to remember it, try to remember the pattern. All right, so let's look at this one. This is a little bit different than what we're doing in that we're not, this time we have opposite signs in the middle. So if let's go back to box method. We haven't done this one for a while. If I have x and a negative 3 and x and a positive 3, if I multiply x times x, I get x squared. X times negative 3 gives me negative 3x. X times 3 gives me 3x. And then 3 times negative 3 would be a negative 9. Combine my like terms. I know I alternate back and forth by the order that I end up putting these in the boxes or around the boxes, but I still get x squared. Negative 3x and positive 3x combine to give you no x's, and then just minus 9. So notice there's no middle terms. That's because we have x minus 3 and x plus 3. So they're exactly the same. The only difference is the sign in the middle, which makes the 2 middle terms cancel out. So your turn. Put me on pause, give this one a try. It's a little bit different in the fact that we have x to the third for the first value, but it's still the same process. And this one, I'm hoping when you multiplied x to the third times x to the third, you got x to the sixth and not x to the ninth. You'd get x to the sixth minus 6x to the third, excuse me, minus 8x to the third, and then plus that 8x to the third, minus 64, which the end result would be x to the sixth minus 64. So here, it's a little different in the fact that we usually have our variables in the first position, and this time we don't, but that's okay. It's still the same process. 6 times 6, 36. I'm just going to FOIL. 6 times negative m squared would be minus 6m squared. Positive m squared times 6 is plus 6m squared. And m squared times negative m squared is negative m to the fourth. And if you look again, our middle terms are going to disappear because negative 6m squared plus 6m squared results in 0. So I have 36 minus m to the fourth. All right, so if we simplify this one again, I always cross that out and think of it as m plus 3n. And we just FOIL or use box method. M times m squared. M times 3n is plus 3mn. I keep them in alphabetical order. So 3n times m is plus 3 n. I'm going to write nm this time just so we can talk about it. And then 3n times 3n is 9n squared. So let's talk about these two. Are they like terms? Because they kind of don't look like they would be like terms. They look like there's something different. One's a mn and one's a nm. But remember, multiplication can be done in any order. And if we write this in standard form, I would really write this alphabetically. So I would write 3mn here too. But they are like terms. So I would have m squared plus 6 mn's plus 9 n squared. All right, you put me on hold and go ahead and try this one. All right, and hopefully you got 64r squared minus 80rs plus 25s squared. Look at this one's sounds a lot harder than what we've done, but it's really kind of the same process. It's just using geometry, adding a little geometry in. So surface area of a cylinder has a formula. Surface area equals 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h, and we're going to find the surface area. Well, if I look, this is my radius. R stands for radius, right? And here is my height. So I'm just going to fill in this equation. Surface area equals 2 pi r squared. My radius is x plus 1 squared. And then plus 2 pi r, which is the, whoops, sorry, x plus 1, times the height, which is x plus 4. We're going to kind of just ignore the 2 pi for now and do what we normally do. So 2 pi, I have x plus 1 times x plus 1. That's what x plus 1 squared is. Then 2 pi, and I'm just going to rewrite this side exactly as it was. Now we can do some foiling. So that 2 pi is just hanging out with us. X squared would be my first value. X times 1 is 1x, and then I have another x here, so plus 2x. I just combined the x's as I went. I had 1x there and another x here, so I have 2x. And then I have plus 1 plus 2 pi, and here I have x squared plus 4x plus another x plus 4. And let's think of this as if we had 2r times s, let's say, and then plus 2r times z, we can factor out a 2r, and we end up with s plus z on the inside, right? We can take 2r out of this part and 2r out of that part. So that's kind of what we're going to do. We're going to take out the 2 pi because we have 2 pi in both pieces. So I'm just going to put 2 pi out in the front and then have my parenthesis. And we have x squared plus 2x plus 1. That's if I take it out of this part. And now I'm going to take it out of this part. So I would just have plus, I'm going to put a big parenthesis around here. X squared plus 4x, excuse me, I'm going to combine those like terms, so I have plus 5x plus 4. And although it looks really messy, we just have 2 pi on the outside. We're still just going to leave that there, and we're going to combine our like terms. So we have x squareds here and x squareds there, and it's plus in between, so the parentheses don't really mean anything. I don't need them to keep the x squareds apart. So I have, excuse me, 2x squared, and I have 2x and 5x, so plus 7x. And then I have 1 plus 4, so plus 5. And oftentimes when you are in geometry next year, we will say leave your answer in terms of pi. So we would just leave that 2 pi out there maybe. So we have 2 pi times the quantity 2x squared plus 7x plus 5, and that would be our answer. Go ahead and try this one on your own and see how you do. So put me on pause and come back. All right, so you should have gotten 2 pi times the quantity 2x squared plus 11x plus 14. And that's all for this lesson. Have a good rest of your day.